The real test of a human mind isn't surviving the pit. It's what you do when you finally have the power to throw someone else into one. When the people who were supposed to protect you are the ones who broke you, revenge doesn't just feel justified. It feels like the only honest response. Every primitive part of your biology screams for balance. Make them feel the cold. Make them feel the dark. But real reconciliation? That requires a level of emotional regulation that defies human nature. It requires a theological and psychological framework that completely transforms how you look at those who have done you harm. Welcome to MindLit Labs. I'm David Cook. More than 20 years after his brothers sold him into slavery, Joseph is the second most powerful man on earth. A famine is crushing the region, exactly as he predicted. And one afternoon, 10 men from Canaan walk into the Egyptian court and fall face down on the ground, just as Joseph dreamed. They are his brothers, the very men who ignored his screams from the bottom of the pit. Genesis 42 gives us a chilling line. It says, Joseph saw his brothers and recognized them, but he acted like a stranger to them and spoke harshly to them. Joseph had absolute power. He could have ended them right then and there. No one would have stopped him. No one would have questioned it. Instead, he does something far more deliberate. He begins a carefully designed behavioral test. He needs to know one thing. Has the family code actually changed? Or is he still dealing with the same men who discarded him? Joseph doesn't rush to the emotional payoff by revealing his identity. He doesn't throw his arms around them and announce cheap forgiveness. Because cheap forgiveness without real change just enables the next betrayal. He needs data, so he builds a psychological mirror. He accuses them of being spies. He throws them into prison for 3 days, long enough for them to feel the terror of a cell. Then he sends all of them home, except for Simon, who would remain in prison, with a demand. Bring your youngest brother Benjamin back to Egypt, or face a reckoning. While they stand there terrified, Joseph listens. They're speaking Hebrew, assuming the Egyptian official can't understand a word, and he hears them say, "We are truly guilty concerning our brother. We saw the anguish of his soul when he pleaded with us, and we would not listen." 20 years of wondering if they ever felt even a shred of remorse. And now he hears it. He has to turn away from them and weep, for the emotion is overwhelming. He washes his face, regulates his system, and comes back. He will not let raw feelings short-circuit the test. He then sends them away with their grain, but secretly puts their money back in their sacks. He's forcing them into a situation that looks like a setup, watching closely to see whether they turn on each other or protect one another. The brothers return to Egypt with Benjamin, and Joseph plays his final, most brutal card. He hides his silver cup in Benjamin's sack, discovers it, and declares that Benjamin will stay in Egypt as his personal slave. The rest of them can go home as free men. He has just recreated the exact dynamic of their youth. Benjamin is now the favored son of Rachel, the one their father loves most. Joseph is offering them the same deal they took 20 years earlier. Abandon the favorite child, save yourselves, and walk away. And back then, they would have taken the deal in a heartbeat. But then Judah steps forward. Judah, the same brother who suggested selling Joseph for 20 pieces of silver. He walks up to the second most powerful man in Egypt and delivers one of the most moving speeches in ancient literature. He describes their father's agony. He tells Joseph that if Benjamin doesn't return, it will kill the old man. And then he offers the ultimate proof of a transformed life. He says, "Please, let your servant remain instead of the lad, as a slave to my Lord, and let the lad go up with his brothers." Judah offered himself as the substitute. He chooses slavery so the favored child can go free. In behavioral science, this is the ultimate proof of a broken script. You see, when a person is placed in the exact same scenario that once produced betrayal, and they now choose an opposite, selfless action, that is the sign that the cycle of envy, betrayal, and hate has been broken. Joseph can no longer restrain himself. He orders everyone out of the room and weeps so loudly the entire palace hears it. Then he looks at his terrified brothers and says the words they never expected. "I am Joseph. Does my father still live?" They are paralyzed. They expect the blame. Instead, Joseph says something that carries the full weight of the story. "Do not be grieved or angry with yourselves because you sold me here. For God sent me before you to preserve life. It is not you who sent me here, but God." Years later, after their father dies, the brothers panic again. They assume Joseph will finally take his revenge. But Joseph answers them with the line that summarizes his entire worldview. In Genesis 50, we read, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to bring it about that many people should be kept alive as they are today." Notice what he doesn't do. He doesn't minimize the evil. He doesn't say, it wasn't that bad. He looks them in the eye and says, "You meant evil against me." He names the malice clearly, but he also refuses to let that malice have the final word. Joseph possesses a framework larger than his trauma. He looks at the scars and the years and the prison and realizes human hatred is not sovereign. The pit was not the architectural design of his brother's envy. It was the sovereign architecture of God's redemption. He realized that his suffering had a divine purpose to position him to save the very world that rejected him. Reconciliation is not pretending betrayal never happened. It is deciding who gets to own the narrative of your life. If you leave that narrative in the hands of the people who hurt you, you will remain a prisoner to their choices long after you've left the pit. To break your own cycle, start with these 2 simple steps and write them down. Step 1, acknowledge the malice. Stop sweeping the hurt under the rug. What is the specific evil that was meant against you? Name it the way Joseph did, clearly and without apology. Step 2, locate the sovereign blueprint. Lift your eyes above the person or the event that wronged you. How can the endurance, the resilience, the character you were forced to build in that painful season be used for good, for someone else's protection or healing? That's how scars get rewritten. Joseph's brothers chose the pit. Potiphar's wife chose the prison. Years of silence made it look like other people's decisions had permanently defined his life. But the pit was not the end of the story. The prison was not the end of the story. And the evil done to him was never powerful enough to decide the man he would become. Psychology calls this narrative identity. It's the story we construct to explain who we are, what has happened to us, and what our lives mean. Joseph could have built his entire identity around betrayal. He could have let the worst moment of his life become the central truth of his existence, but he didn't. He acknowledged the evil without surrendering his identity to it. He remembered the wound without letting the wound make every future decision. And when he finally had the power to retaliate, he demonstrated what psychologists call response flexibility. It's the ability to pause between pain and action and choose a response that is not controlled by the past. Joseph's story began with a family repeating its oldest wounds. It ends with one man refusing to repeat them. He had the power to punish and chose restraint. He had every reason to stay bitter and chose reconciliation. He had been treated like someone disposable, yet he used his position to preserve the lives of others. Now, we're not saying the trauma was good. We're not saying the betrayal was necessary. We're not claiming suffering automatically makes anyone stronger. We are saying the wound did not receive final authority over his identity, his values, or his future. Psychology may call it meaning making. Joseph called it providence. You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good. This is the final lesson of his life. You may not have chosen the chapter someone else forced you to live through. You may still carry the evidence of what it cost. But you are more than what happened to you. And through courage, wisdom, faith, and yes, the transforming grace of God, the place where your story appeared to end can become the place where an entirely different identity begins. The brothers put Joseph in the pit, but they never controlled the purpose of his life. And they never held the pen that would write the final sentence. God was writing a story they could not see, and he was not finished. If this series has given you even a little insight into your own story, leave a comment below. I'd genuinely like to know. And remember, stay aware, stay curious, stay compassionate, and always keep your mind lit. I hope to see you in the next video. Take care, and God bless.
Thanks for joining us today. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe, and follow MindLit Labs, where we explore the convergence of mind, meaning, and faith. Our goal is to help you to think deeper, live wiser, and stay grounded in what's true, good, and beautiful.